Mosquitoes, muck, and sludge are just some of the things hurricanes and other disasters leave behind. Thousands of homeowners and first responders in San Leon, Texas, are working in these conditions, but can find relief at the end of the day thanks to this invention by Bill Taylor.
The emergency mobile shower unit was designed, frankly, after Katrina, because people in Pascagoula, during my mission trip work there, particularly Philip Thomas, an EMT fellow over in Pascagoula, said there was just a shortage of shower trucks and shower trailers.
It took a year and a half to complete the truck. This trip was its maiden voyage.
I rolled into Texas the day after the storm, and we have been busy ever since, moving around to different areas where they really need us.
Taylor says at least 100 people a day have been using the showers. It's geared toward first responders and disaster victims.
I have been told people who are almost in tears and getting a shower was the most important thing probably they had, besides getting some food and some water. People need to be clean, and I had people that have come in here within 10 days of not having a shower.
Taylor believes it's a worthwhile cause in disaster recovery.
When they walk out of the doors, particularly the disaster victims, it's been, the before and after. They walk in, as you might suspect, much like a street urchin, looking awful, and they come out with their hair clean and their body clean and a great big smile on their face. Most gratifying to see all of that.
Port officials want that inland port to be on some land just north of the old 28th Street Elementary School and east of 34th Avenue in Northwest Gulfport.
The inland port, for those who may not know, it's basically a concept by which, you have a port, you have some property inland that will help mitigate from future storms, where you could move cargo to or what have you in case there's another hurricane.
It's all part of the port's master plan to expand, become more storm resistant, and create more jobs.
We want to position the port to be in a position to capitalize on the new trade and new cargo that's going to be out there in the coming decades.
Port officials and the MDA held a public meeting to get input on their plans for the inland port.
Your inland port, you would have to fill 70 acres of wetland that would only increase flooding in a community that is already suffering from flooding.
My concern is that, it can bring 1,000 jobs over 10 years wherever it's at, but them jobs are going to come down here to us anyway.
While most people were against it, a few people supported the idea.
It'll be more people working, less crime on the street, better place for everybody.
We need the port. We need income, viable income. That has been the stability of this community for over 60 years.
The North Gulfport Community Land Trust recently surveyed some residents about the inland port idea.
And what we found was that 75% of this neighborhood had no idea that this thing was happening, and that they weren't too pleased about its construction right in their neighborhood.
In Gulfport, Toni Miles, WLOX News.
The TrailGrazers are back on the coast this morning after 3 days in San Leon, Texas, helping the victims of Hurricane Ike. Hundreds of people in this small fishing village near Galveston are now using the food and supplies that the cowgirls collected in South Mississippi. Toni Miles tagged along with the group to Texas this morning. She documents this mission of mercy.
Okay, thanks.
The trail began in Gulfport. They traded their saddles for horse trailers filled with donations they'd collected for Hurricane Ike victims in San Leon, Texas. Ashley Schlegel is the youngest member of the group.
Our group, the TrailGrazers, we've been looking or trying to come up with something to do to help the community. Although our main purpose, of course, is riding horses, we felt like there was a need to give back, and this would be a perfect opportunity.
After a bumpy, sometimes traffic-jammed 10-hour ride, the group received a hero's welcome as they rolled into San Leon with 9 horse trailers stocked full of donations.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
Although many of the town's 6,000 residents are storm-weary and exhausted from cleaning muck out of their homes, they took time out to greet their new friends from Mississippi with open arms.
How you doing?
Thank y'all for
As you can see, I was so happy, and I expected probably 3 or 4 trailers, and I looked out there, and as far as the eye could see, here were these pickup trucks with big horse trailers, and I almost fainted.
Now that the damage has been assessed, they're trying to focus on recovery.
Look around, it's been pretty bad.
but we're hanging in there. Thanks to people like y'all.
After the meet and greet, Harrison County Sheriff's deputies fired up the grill and cooked hamburgers, the first hot meal some of these folks have had in a while. As the sun began to rise the next day over the battered fishing village, the TrailGrazers began to organize and unload the supplies donated by South Mississippians. It wasn't long before 5-year-old Selena Lyles picked out a pair of boots.
She loves boots because she loves horses. This is wonderful. Thank you so much.
What has this meant to you?
It's been a whole lot. There's a whole lot of people here in San Leon that have been dealing without a whole lot of things ever since the storm hit. And they've been trying to go to central locations. Many of them don't have transportation. Many of them don't have homes. They're sleeping on the ground.
Terry Lotham would know. 4 feet of water flooded her home. Many of her possessions are ruined.
I think that I've seen the very best and the very worst in people through this catastrophe. And I think that the people who are really good people are the ones that are doing what y'all are doing today.
I hope so.
It's hard to understand that right now. It really is.
Oh, Lord. I wanted coffee so bad I'd done anything to get a cup of coffee. Y'all give me a cup of coffee, and boy, you don't know how great that is.
Across the way, hay was distributed to help out with the community's livestock.
I think that the people from the coast really did know what was needed here because of what they've been through, and people are finding that their needs are being met right here because of what the Gulf Coast did for them.
We see that there's a lot of love in Mississippi, and we see that the folks from Mississippi are good people. They're caring people.
I'm going to be sad when y'all leave.
That was evident when the work was done, and the group pulled out to head back home early Wednesday morning. The supplies won't last forever, but the new friendships and bond between South Mississippi and San Leon, Texas is sure to live on for quite some time. Reporting from San Leon, Texas, Toni Miles, WLOX News.
Now, the news for South Mississippi. WLOX News Weekend.
Good evening, I'm Toni Miles. Crystal Allen is off tonight. The grassroots group of supporters of Gulfport's Beachfront Library are celebrating their latest victory in their nearly year-long battle to save the storm-damaged structure. Yesterday, the Mississippi Department of Archives and History named the building a state landmark, creating the biggest hurdle yet in Harrison County's plans to demolish the building. But members of We the People know the state's decision is not ironclad protection. And in anticipation of the county continuing to fight for the library's demolition, they were back out at the library today signing up new supporters of their cause to save it. Still, members of We the People say yesterday's decision was very important.
What happens now is that legally this building is protected. Legally, nobody can touch this building until all of these examinations by FEMA are done, all the reports are in, all of the things are examined, and very importantly, this has to be done in the open. This has to be done publicly. There's no more covering anything up. This has to be right out in front of all of us.
The county plans to build 2 new libraries, one in Orange Grove and a satellite branch in downtown Gulfport. But any future decisions regarding the old library will now involve FEMA, the Department of Archives and History, and any other interested parties along with the Board of Supervisors. Experts say the first 5 years of a child's life are the most important, but many children do not develop the skills they need in that time. Well, the PASCAGOULA community is working together for local toddlers, and they're getting some recognition for it. Jackson County reporter Sylvia Hall has details on PASCAGOULA's new kid-friendly designation.
Lauren Wood has 2 preschoolers, so she knows it takes more than just good parenting to raise a young child. That's why she's thrilled at PASCAGOULA's Excel by 5 designation.
Today really makes me proud to be a part of PASCAGOULA. This is amazing.
The designation means the city is actively working to help kids get a head start in life.
What happens between birth to 5 actually sets the stage for a child's development and the success in school and in life.
If you get involved with children first and provide them the educational resources and the economic resources and the parental resources that they need from that start, that graduation is better, education is better, and it's only better for the community.
Pascagoula is one of only 3 communities in the state to get the Excel by 5 designation. The other 2 are West Point and Petal. Now, the rest of South Mississippi isn't far behind. Moss Point and Biloxi have started the process to get their designation, too. It's not easy to get. It takes nearly 2 years and help from everyone.
It is an initiative of the city of Pascagoula. So it is a status that the city earns by the whole community joining hands and doing the work.
It takes a village to raise a child, not just a school system, not just the hospitals, but everybody.
Parents are happy to have an entire community behind them.
It really shows how much they care about our children and how much they care about our children excelling in what they need to learn.
In Pascagoula, Sylvia Hall, WLOX.
Mississippi is the first state in the nation to have an early development program of this kind. Well, Edgewater Mall in Biloxi could hardly offer a better bargain than free health care. And shoppers took advantage of the second annual Coastwide Health Fair. It was sponsored by Biloxi Regional Medical Center, Coast Cardiovascular Consultants, Digestive Healthcare, and JZ 94.5. Free screenings and exams for nearly every imaginable ailment were provided by a host of health organizations. There was also entertainment, free samples, and door prizes. Coordinators say today's great turnout is evidence of how much people value a free checkup.
I think a lot of people still don't have good health insurance. Plus, with, of course, with the economy being so bad, it's very expensive to go to the doctor if you don't have health insurance. This is a great way for people to come out and get something affordable.
The Mississippi Gulf Coast Children's Health Project offered flu shots free to children. They were $15 for adults. Well, it's been more than a month since Hurricanes Ike and Gustav, but some storm debris still lingers. Today, the cleanup process got a big boost thanks to the volunteers and the DMR's coastal cleanup. 2,224 volunteers pitched in, collecting more than 40,000 pounds of trash throughout the 3 coastal counties. Here's a look at some of the work that went into the massive cleanup.
Just here for the lift and power, that's about it.
Michael Jackson wasn't doing the moonwalk, but he was scouring the beach for storm debris and other trash.
We're actually doing the coastal cleanup, so a lot of people from NRCB1 are down here trying to help pick up all the garbage and just make the place better.
Jackson's been stationed at the Gulfport CB base, but has been deployed much of that time. It was the first time many of these CBs have been home to take part in the annual event. They were surprised at some of the stuff they found on the beach.
Sheet metal, lots of broken screen doors, all kinds, just miscellaneous junk, plastic jugs, bottles, lots of stuff.
Further west, Harrison Central's Honor Society members traded their textbooks for trash bags. This was Alyssa Tapp's second year to take part in the cleanup.
Shoes and clothing would probably be the weirdest thing that we picked up today. Last year there was a lot of weird stuff.
Participating in events like this teaches lessons you can't always learn in a classroom.
We feel like this is a way to give back to the community, and we do have, this is a tourist attraction, and maybe that if we keep our beaches a little cleaner, it'll keep people coming back from year to year, and it keeps the area looking nice, and nobody wants to live somewhere where it's just trashed all the time.
This year marked the Department of Marine Resources' 20th year to hold the coastal cleanup. And whether you were picking up trash or working out, it was a beautiful day here in South Mississippi. Rob Knight checks in now to tell us how current conditions are right now. Rob? Thanks, Rob. Up next in sports, find out who's taking home the $25,000 winner's jacket wind dance. And Shub shows us whether Ole Miss can pull off another upset at Alabama. Stay tuned.
Congratulations to him. It was a good weekend of golf.
That's right. Today was picture perfect, as a matter of fact, but what will the rest of the week look like? Rob Knight will have our forecast when we come back.
Through the area, but all in all, Tony, it is going to be a great week as far as temperature goes. Beautiful mid to upper 70s. Overnight lows, folks. However, take a light jacket or a sweater out there with you. You are definitely going to need it getting out the door early in the morning. Great advice. Thanks, Rob. And thank you for joining us. Remember, you can get WLOX News anytime at our website at WLOX.com.
Now, the news for South Mississippi. WLOX News Weekend.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Toni Miles. Crystal Allen is off tonight. The rebuilding of St. Thomas Catholic Church could begin as soon as 3 months, but this weekend, parishioners were focused on a fun festival geared toward raising money for the Catholic Church and school. St. Thomas's annual Fall Festival just wrapped up, but we dropped by to see how this year's 3-day event turned out. They donned aprons and even got all wet in an effort to pour money into St. Vincent de Paul Catholic Elementary School and the rebuilding fund for St. Thomas Catholic Church in Long Beach.
We got a lot of good food, a lot of drink, a lot of entertainment, just promoting a lot of family stuff. That's what Father Louis wanted us to do.
It was definitely a family affair for Marlene Logan. She tried to keep up with 2 grandchildren and a great-grandson, all students at St. Vincent de Paul Elementary.
I have 6 children, and they've all gone to St. Paul's. And now their children and grandchildren are going to St. Vincent de Paul. Some of the grandchildren started out, of course, at St. Paul's. And then when the 2 schools joined together, then the grandchildren and great-grandchildren are there.
Marlene is glad the legacy is being carried on from generation to generation. But she also understands it takes a lot to keep the new Catholic school going.
Like I said, they have a beautiful facility now. Now they have to pay the teachers and the staff.
With each game played and each ride taken, another dollar is rounded up to help youngsters like those belonging to Marlene Logan and to help rebuild St. Thomas Catholic Church back at its old beachfront site.
And I'm thinking that's going to start hopefully by the end of the year. So hopefully we'll see some building going on here pretty quick. A lot of people are anxious.
And another fall festival was in full swing this weekend in Gulfport. Hundreds of people turned out for the St. James Fall Festival. Games, food, and entertainment were all part of the 2-day event. Money raised at this event will benefit the church's elementary school and St. James Parish. A Gulfport man is in jail tonight after narcotics investigators found about $100,000 worth of stolen property in his home. Harrison County investigators say that yesterday they searched the home of 39-year-old Thomas White. While searching the home, they found stolen tools, four-wheelers, and jet skis. Investigators say they also found about 5 pounds of marijuana and over a pound of cocaine. They say all the drugs were packaged for distribution. White has been charged with 3 counts of receiving stolen property, possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute for both the marijuana and cocaine. White is being held at the Harrison County Jail under a $375,000 bond. Well, it's been almost a week now since PASCAGOULA High School student Jamarcus Pierce died in an accidental shooting, and his family is facing more problems than ever before. They're dealing with more than a tragic loss. They're also suffering financially. Pierce's mom is raising his 4 brothers and sisters alone without insurance. Now, with Jamarcus's medical bills and funeral costs, she's struggling to pay for it all.
Well, my worst fear is how everything's going to be after Saturday, really. How I'm going to have to try to hold up for my kids, you know what I'm saying, as for myself, getting back to work. And, it's going to be hard, but I'm going to do it, I promise.
Now, if you'd like to help out, you can go to Keesler Federal Credit Union and donate to Pierce's fund. Well, starting today, the Jackson County Fairgrounds is taking on a life of its own. Workers spent the day putting the final touches on rides and booths for the Jackson County Fair. Rides just opened for this afternoon, and more will open tomorrow. General admission is free, but the rides and food may cost a little.
This is the only free fair, and we're all real proud of what it